How's it going, everybody? I hope you're having a wonderful day. In this video, we're talking about something very important: relative versus absolute cell references in Excel. This is very important in terms of optimizing and being really efficient with your spreadsheets. So it's definitely something that you want to know inside and out. A relative cell reference is just going to copy all of those cells and what they are referencing relative to where you're moving them. And an absolute cell reference is not going to change whatever that reference is. So I'm going to go through a couple of examples to show you when you would use each. This is a team of basketball statistics, and this is a team of 8 players who average these number of points, rebounds, and assists per game. So we have our team stats, which is just a sum of all of these rows. So we put up 88.4 points per game. So we want to find out what our totals are of points, rebounds, and assists. You can see we have 15 total games that we've played up here in cell H2. So in our total cell, in cell B13, I'm going to type in equals our team stat, which is our 88 points per game, and multiply that by cell H2, which is our total number of games. So when we hit enter, that should give us our total points we've scored for the whole season. And that is 1,326 points. Pretty awesome, right? So in this case, I don't need any absolute cell reference. Otherwise, I'm just wasting my time and just taking more time if I'm just typing in an equation for one cell. But here is an example where I might need it. So if I drag this over, because what you're using is the fill handle in the bottom right corner. When this plus sign comes up, you can click and drag it over to copy that cell's equations, that cell's contents over. When I click and drag it over, it's giving me zeros. Now, why is this happening? This is because I'm using a relative cell reference right now. So when I clicked and dragged this over, it's going to change my cells over one cell because that's how much I dragged it over here. So I was referencing cell B12, but now I'm referencing cell C12. And I was referencing before H2, but now I'm referencing I2, which is a blank cell, which is why I'm getting 0 in that value. So what I can do is I can just backspace and type in H2, and then bam, I've got the right number. But that could take some time if I have a lot of cells, and what I want to do is show you how to use absolute cell references to help you out here. So I'm going to go back to our cell B13 so we can fix this. So in order to fix this, we need a absolute cell reference for H2. Now I'm dragging over, so what I'm changing is what I'm changing is the column, right, that I'm referencing, since I'm not dragging down. So what I want to do is type a $ in front of the H, because in Excel, cells are named or labeled with the column first and then the row. So H2 is the cell that we're looking at. So if I put the $ in front of the H, then the column is not going to change when I'm copying this cell over. If I put the $ in front of the 2, then that means the row is not going to change. So in this case, I don't care about the rows. I don't need to put a $ in front of the rows because I'm not changing the rows down. I'm copying over to the right, which is changing where my column reference is. So I'm going to put a $ in front of the H. And so when I do that, I'm going to copy this over, and then it's going to give me my numbers: 585 rebounds, 375 assists. So again, if we're looking into this equation, we're looking at C12, which is what we want, and when we copy that over, we're still referencing H2. So that's one application. Here's another one where we might want to use this. So let's get a basic rank equation going here, because we want to rank how many points all of these players rank against each other on the team. We want to see who scores the most points per game. So we're going to type in a basic rank function here. So we're going to click on Matt's points, which is B4, which is what we want to look at. Our reference is B4 to B11, because we want to look at what his rank is with his points in respect to all of the other guys on the team. And if you want more information on how to use the rank function, make sure to watch this video. I put it in the card up above and in the description below. And then we'll just click descending. We'll hit enter, and there's our points rank. So that's awesome, right? So now let's drag it down so we can copy it over to all of the other cells here, and so that we can get a rank for all of the other players. And so just upon first glance, you can tell that there's a problem here. Like, why did Jake and Joseph have the same points rank? They're both ranked 3rd on the team, but they obviously don't have the same points per game. There's obviously a problem here. So let's dive in to see what's wrong. So we're in cell E11, looking at Joseph's formula. And we're still referencing B11, which is right. So we want that to be a relative reference because that's changing as we drag it down. We want it to look at Joseph's numbers. But it's also changing our reference. So we're looking at B11 all the way down to B18, which is a bunch of blank cells. And we want that to remain B4 to B11. So again, we could just manually change this, but that will take way too much time. What we're going to do is we're going to use absolute cell references again. So in this case, we don't necessarily need a $sign in front of B because we're dragging down. We want a $sign in front of 4 because we want the rows to stay the same when we are copying it down. We want this range from 4 to 11 to stay the same. But in this case, we'll just put a $sign in front of B as well, because we just want those values to be locked in, so it's not going to change no matter where I drag this formula to. So after we have that absolute cell reference for our range, we're going to drag that down and see how that changes everything. And so as you can see, now it's correct. If we go down to Joseph's equation and we look at it, we're looking at B11 within the range of B4 to B11, which is correct, what we want to do. So that is another example of using absolute cell references versus relative. Now let's drag this equation over so that we can get our rebound and assist rank for all the players, right? But hang on, wait a minute. There's an NA error that we're getting. Now why is that happening? So if we look over here, we dragged our equations over. So we're now looking at cell F4. We want to look at our rebound rank. Now we're looking at column C. So we've got C4, which was a relative reference, so that updated correctly. But since we have a $sign in front of B, it didn't update our columns correctly, which is a problem because that's giving us our error. We're looking at a number that's outside of our range, which is why we're getting an error for that rank function. So what we're going to do to fix this, we could just fix it manually, but that takes too long, again. So we're going to go back into cell E4 and get rid of our $sign in front of B. Again, because we want to keep the rows the same, so the $sign is in front of 4 and the $sign is in front of 11, our absolute cell references, so that our rows do not change as we copy them. But we do want our column to change, because as we copy that over, we then instead want to look at column C for our rebounds. So if we do that, we hit enter. We're going to fill this over to rebound and assist rank, and now it's going to be correct. So if we look at this, we're looking at C4, and C11 is our range. And now that is going to be correct. And because we still have that absolute cell reference from row 4 to 11, we can just drag both of these down and get our rank for the whole team. I'll just show you how quick this is if you know what you're doing, because I walked through this, pretty slowly so you can get a grasp on what relative versus absolute references are. So if you wanted to do this quick, I can just type in rank, click on rank average, we'll click Matt's points, hit comma, we'll select, click and drag our range. We'll click descending. We'll hit end parentheses, enter. Then we'll put our absolute cell reference in front of 4 and in front of 11 because we don't want it to change that range. And then we can just drag it over and we can drag the whole thing down and bam. So we have all of that data and all those functions in there now in a matter of, 15 seconds versus a matter of potentially an hour entering all of that data in and changing all of that, right? Now you understand the power of using absolute cell references versus relative cell references. And the more that you use this and the more that you practice with it, the better you'll get at it, so it'll come really naturally. I hope you learned something and that this video helped you out. Please leave a like if it did, and remember to subscribe if you want more quick and easy Excel tutorials almost every single day. You really have nothing to lose by subscribing, but I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time.